And if you could wake up tomorrow and discover that no one else can see you, hear your voice, or feel your touch, imagine the feeling of being trapped in your own house, desperately trying to get the attention of your family, but they pass through you as if you were a ghost. It is exactly this silent torment experienced by spirits who, after physical death, wage an internal battle against the harshest reality, that they have departed. Based on the research of Allan Kardec and serious medium accounts, this state of denial is one of the most distressing described in Spiritism. But what leads a consciousness to remain so attached to a life that has already been? And what kind of parallel world, invisible to our eyes, do these spirits inhabit? The answer is more complex and fascinating than you imagine. So let's dive into this parallel world. The spirit that denies its own death doesn't wake up in a strange or dark place. No, the setting is brutally familiar. He wakes up in the same room, the same street, the same hospital where his physical body stopped. At first, he might even think that nothing more than a faint or a fright happened. But soon the senses begin to betray him. He tries to grab a cup of coffee in the morning, and his fingers pass through the porcelain. He shouts the name of a loved one, and the sound seems swallowed by the vacuum. He runs towards people who pass by him without a blink of an eye. It's a nightmare from which there is no awakening. Allan Kardec, in the Book of Spirits, directly asks the superior spirits about this state, and the answer is clear. It is a profound disturbance. The mind, attached to matter, creates such a powerful illusion that the spirit continues to feel material. It feels hunger, fatigue, pain. It tries to maintain its usual routine, but each attempt is a stab of incomprehension. Chico Xavier, through the psychographs of the spirit André Louise, describes this with a strong image. They are incarnated without a flesh body. They wander like sleepwalkers, trapped in a ghostly replica of the world they knew. Imagine a solitude. You are in the middle of a family party. You see everyone laughing, talking, and you are a completely ignored presence. You try to hug someone, and your arms enclose only cold air. This is the daily reality of these spirits. They do not understand grief. For them, it is the living who are acting strangely, distantly, cruelly. A father can stay by his son's side for years, trying to console him for a loss that, in his head, hasn't even happened. The longing, which for us is a feeling, for them is an impenetrable glass wall. And the time in that place, it is distorted. Days, months, years may pass on earth, but for the consciousness trapped in that loop, the perception is of a continuous and agonizing present. The spirit can incessantly relive the moments that preceded its death, especially if it was traumatic, such as an accident or a sudden illness. It is a scratched record of the soul, repeating the same passage of pain and denial. The Spiritist works warn us that this is not a place in space, but a state of consciousness, a mental prison built brick by attachment, fear, and the absolute refusal to look at the truth. But here arises a disturbing question. What feeds this illusion? What gives strength for this web of deceptions to remain for so long, decades even? The answer is not only in the confused mind of the spirit. There is a fuel, an energy that comes from a place that you may not expect, from our own world, from the living. And it is there that the story becomes even more complex, because our emotions, our attitudes, can unintentionally trap even more those who are already trapped. How is this possible? This fuel that maintains the illusion has a name: attachment. But don't think it's just a beautiful feeling of longing. It is a powerful magnetic force, and often blinding. On one side, the spirit, desperate to feel alive again. On the other, us, the incarnated ones, emitting intense waves of emotion. And it is at this point that the worlds touch in a dangerous way. The disturbed spirit, in its eagerness, is drawn like a magnet to these sources of energy that resonate with it. It can be the searing pain of a relative who cries without solace in the room next door. It can be the rage of an enemy that he still desires to reach. Or, in a darker way, it can be the harmony with addictions and unbalanced passions.
Here is the translation.
It is here that the Spiritist doctrine, with almost surgical precision, describes the phenomenon of obsession. The spirit that has not accepted death, seeking a body to feel pleasure, to satisfy a vice, or simply to be heard, can attach itself to a living person who vibrates at the same frequency. It does not need to be bad. Most of the time, it is just a lost soul, a sick spirit. But when it clings to a living person, it begins to drain their vital energy, to influence their thoughts, to plant fixed ideas and negative emotions. The person on earth may begin to feel a sadness without cause, an inexplicable fatigue, hear voices, have strange impulses. Without knowing it, they are sharing their life with an invisible and needy guest.
The books by André Luis, psychographed by Chico Xavier, such as Missionários da Luz, Missionaries of Light, and Nos Domínios da Mediunidade, The Obsessed and the Obsessor. The disturbed spirit, far from being a powerful being, is like a shipwrecked person clinging to any raft of salvation, even if it means sinking another person. And the worst, many times the one who is on earth, with their deep resentment, their addiction, or their rebellion, is unconsciously calling for that company. It is a tragic symbiosis where both suffer. But what when the attachment is loving? When it is a mother who cannot leave her child, or a husband who insists on protecting his wife? That is also a risk. This sick love, which does not accept the natural separation of death, can prevent the spirit from moving forward, and at the same time can drain the strength of those who remain. The person on earth lives in eternal mourning, without rebuilding, and the spirit remains there, stagnant, watching a life that is no longer theirs. It is a freezing of both souls. So if this is a chain that binds both sides, breaking the cycle of suffering, is there any way to help a spirit that doesn't even know it needs help, and at the same time free the living from this invisible weight? The answer may be in a force much older and more powerful than any attachment. Yes, there is a force capable of breaking this cycle, and it does not come from a distant or magical place, but from the very law of love that governs the universe, according to Spiritism. While the spirit wanders in its darkness, it is never truly alone. A silent network of assistance is already in action. These are the benevolent spirits, true missionaries of light, who work with infinite patience. They act as rescuers in an invisible disaster. Often they approach disguised as familiar figures, an old friend, a beloved relative, in order to, little by little, establish a dialogue and make the truth shine upon that confused consciousness.
And as we here on earth can be part of this rescue, through two powerful tools, sincere prayer and serious mediumship. Prayer, far from being a mere ritual, is a living emission of loving energy. It is like a lighthouse that cuts through the fog of disturbance, calming the spirit and opening a channel for it to perceive the guides who are trying to help it. In the Spiritist centers, through balanced mediumship, passes and obsessions removal meetings are carried out, which are true spiritual interventions to undo these painful bonds and guide all those involved.
The final moment of liberation is described as a painful but serene acceptance. The spirit finally allows the truth to invade it. It sees itself outside of the body, understands the grief of those who remained, and for the first time looks forward. Then it is carefully led to spiritual colonies, hospitals on the other side of life, where it will be treated, re-educated, and prepared for the new challenges of immortal existence. Death, therefore, is not the end. It is a passage, and the greatest obstacle to crossing it in peace is not on the other side, but within us, in our attachment to what has been. The journey, however, always continues, and for every lost spirit, no matter how dense the shadow, there is always a light waiting for it, ready to guide it home.